Okay, it's 6:30. I now call our meeting to order, April the 6th, 2021, time 6:30. Attendance has been taken. Thank you. Approval of the agenda.
So moved, Atkinson.
Seconder, Boppel.
Elder Lindsay.
Any discussion? Ready for the question?
Question.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Are there any conflict of interest for disclosure this evening? No. Adoption of the minutes, March the 2nd, 2021.
So moved, Peter Morrison.
Second by,
Boppel.
any discussion? Ready for the question?
Question.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, we'll move on now to the committee reports, and the first one is the Audit Committee. Director Mallory, please.
Okay, all right. You've all had a chance, I'm sure, to read it over, and I would read it entirely, but I have just got new glasses and I'm having a difficult time to even see with them. So if you've read it over, I'm going to just go a few spots here I'll try and highlight. Maybe I'll try and read it. Okay, the meeting was called to order by the chair at 5:30, and Bev Forbes was there, Chris Reinhardt, Mary Killian, and Dawn Fitzgerald. Okay. The audit committee has met on 2 occasions with respect to the preparation and review of the draft audited statements that are being presented to the board at this annual general meeting. The first meeting was reported to you during the February board meeting and deal with preparations for the audit. At the meeting March 31st, we received the results of the audit with Macmillan, Lawrence, and satisfied ourselves that the process and draft statements were appropriate. Attached for your information is a copy of the accountant management letter, audit findings letter, as well as a draft audit report. You will note in their correspondence that in all cases, they did not find any weaknesses in our system, have any disagreements with management, nor encounter any significant difficulties. An in-camera session with the accountant was held, which did not include staff. That session did not reveal any issues with which we should be concerned. Finally, we reviewed the staff report from the executive director recommending the appointment of auditors for the fiscal 2021 year. The committee endorsed the recommendations, and that report will be presented to you in item 7 later in the meeting. There being no further discussion, the meeting was adjourned at 6:20. I move that the board receive the report of the audit committee dated April 6, 2020.
2021.
21, sorry.
That's okay. Can I have a seconder?
Seconded, Elder Lindsay.
Any discussion? Ready for the question?
Question.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. The next on the list is,
I have another motion there.
are we not going to hear from Macmillan, Lawrence, and Lawrence first?
Yes, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
Dale, since you're the chair of that committee, the audit committee, would you like to introduce our guest, please?
Yes, I will. Okay, where am I looking? Darren and Lawrence, and help me out here. I've just lost
Ross Craig.
Sorry, Ross. I did know. Sorry about that, Ross. I know you do, but anyways, I'd like to introduce them tonight as they present to us the audit report for 2020.
Thank you, Dale. And just remind everybody to put themselves on mute unless they have a question to ask, please. So go ahead.
Okay, thank you folks for having us here tonight. My name is Darren Lawrence. I'm a partner with Macmillan, Lawrence and Lawrence. And as mentioned, we also have Ross Craig on the call with us here tonight. So what I will do, I will take you through the draft financial statements that we have presented to the audit committee. We did present a management letter and an audit findings letter to the audit committee as well. We will not go through those letters at this time because we did go through them with the audit committee. Now, as I go through the draft financials here tonight, if you find that you have any questions, feel free to I'm going to share my screen, so I won't be able to see you waving your hand or anything. So just feel free to take yourself off mute and ask me the questions as we go along here. I will go through the financial statements at a speed I feel is appropriate. They are 30 pages long, so I will not be going through every word or anything like that, but feel free to ask me to go quicker or slower if you like. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share my screen so you can follow along with me. Okay, so here are the draft financial statements on our screen. So we're going to start with the contents page. So the contents page consists of our independent auditors report. It outlines that the financial statements will, they consist of the statement of financial position, the statement of operations and accumulated surplus, the statement of changes in net debt, statement of cash flows, notes to the financial statements, a schedule of tangible capital assets, a schedule of reconciliation of annual surplus, schedule of segment disclosure, schedule of statement of reserves, schedule of operating budget to PSA budget, and schedule of revenue and expenditures. So if we go on to our independent auditors report, you will note that the auditors report is still in draft. If the financial statements get approved here this evening, we will be removing the draft watermark from the financial statements and providing a final set of signed audited financials. So in our independent auditors report, the first two paragraphs here is our opinion paragraph. It talks about we have audited the statements of Regional Service Commission 11, which include the statement of financial position at December 31st, 2020, and the statements of operations, accumulated surplus, changes in net debt, and cash flows for the year then ended. The next paragraph says the financial statements present fairly the financial position of the commission at December 31st and the results of its operations and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards. So we did not find anything during our audit that would cause us to qualify our audit opinion this year. So we are giving another clean audit opinion. I will not take you through the remainder of this auditor's report, as it is the same wording as the prior year, and it is their wording for an audit. So we will go on to, we're going to skip page 3 of the financials, and we'll come back to that. We'll go on to page 4 of the printed statements, which is your statement of operations and accumulated surplus. So for revenue this year, sale of services, you'll notice that the statement of operation has 3 columns. The column on your left is the budget numbers for the year. The middle column is your actual numbers for 2020, and the column on the right is your actual numbers for 2019. So I'll just take you through the actual numbers. So for sale of services, you had 5.76 million in revenue. Member charges were up to 4.74 million. And Schedule 6 will have more detail on these numbers. Other revenue was 557,000. Interest, 44,000. For a total revenue of 11.1 million this year. For expenditures, you had administration expenditures, 2.39 million. Fiscal services, 161,000. Governance, 51,000. Planning and building inspection services, 749,000. Post-closing costs, 371,000. Regional sport, recreation and cultures, 99,000. And solid waste services, 7,050,000. For total expenditures of 10.87 million during the year. So overall, you had an annual surplus before unrealized gain on investments of $233,000 during the year, which is up considerably from the prior year. You had an unrealized gain on investments of $239,000 for the year, resulting in an annual surplus from a PSAB perspective of $472,000. You started off with an accumulated surplus of 11.6 million, and you ended up with an accumulated surplus of 12.1 million at the end of the year. Okay. Let's go back to page 2, which is your statement of financial position at December 31st. At December 31st, you had cash and cash equivalents of 3.38 million, receivables 1.23 million, loan receivable 1,300, inventory 31,000, interest receivable 1,000, and investments 4.4 million, for a total financial assets of 9,078,000. For liabilities, you had payables and accruals of 1.1 million, deferred revenue 27,000, funds held in trust 109,000, retiring allowance 671,000, long-term debt 3.89 million, and accrued post-closing costs of 4.28 million, for total liabilities of 10,089,000. This resulted in net debt being lowered to 1,010,000 during the year. You had non-financial assets for non-financial assets, you had tangible capital assets of 12.9 million, prepaid expenses 157,000, deferred financing charges 9,000, for a total accumulated surplus of 12.1 million at the end of the year. We'll go on to your statement of changes in net debt. You started off with an annual surplus, or sorry, you had an annual surplus during the year of 472,000. Had some changes to your net debt during the year. So overall, you had a decrease in net debt of 458,000 during the year, leaving you with 1,010,000 in net debt at the end of the year. We'll go on to page 5, statement of cash flows for operating activities. You had an annual surplus. You have some adjustments here that because these items do not affect your cash. And then you had some changes in your, sorry, these items do not have a cash impact during the year. Then you have some changes in your non-cash working capital accounts. So overall, you had cash flows provided by operating activities of 2.4 million during the year. For capital activities, you had cash flows used in capital activities of 1.5 million. You had cash flows used in financing activities of 424,000. You had cash flows used in investing activities of 262,000. So you had a net increase in cash and cash equivalents during the year of 176,000, leaving you with cash and cash equivalents at the end of the year of 3.38 million. Note 1, your nature of operations note. I won't take you through that in detail. That's the same wording as the prior year. And you did have these statements in advance. If you have any questions, again, feel free to stop me as I go. Note 2, significant accounting policies. Basis of accounting, it talks about the financial statements are in accordance with public sector accounting, in accordance with the Public Sector Accounting Board standards. Again, I'm not going to take you through these accounting policies in detail. They're very similar to the prior year. So we will go on here to page 10, which is cash and cash equivalents. You had restricted cash at the end of the year of 2.7 million and unrestricted cash of 601,000 at the end of the year. You have a line of credit of 300,000, which was not utilized at December 31st. For receivables, you had planning and development receivables, solid waste, recycling, power generation, and HST rebate receivables, less allowance for doubtful accounts, leaving you with receivables of 1.23 million at the end of the year. Loan receivable, you had an amount due from Elm Tree, which is down to $1,300 at December 31st. For investments, you had cash with a fair value of 174,000 and balance funds with a fair value of 4.25 million. Accrued post-closing costs, note 7 on page 12. Accrued liabilities for post-closing costs has been determined based on estimated post-closing costs of 566,000 per year in future dollars for a period of 30 years, commencing in 2037. Post-closing costs are discounted for a current estimate of 16.6 million, required by the end of 2036 to fund post-closure expenses. At December 31st, the capacity of the landfill had been estimated at 2.75 million metric tons, of which 1.228 million metric tons remains unused at December 31st. At December 31st, the estimated post-closure liability is 4.2 million, of which the commission has funded with cash and balance funds with a cost of 3.8 million and with a market value of 4.4 million. For a surplus of 148,000 at year end. Note 8, long-term debt. This is a schedule of your debentures at the various rates. You had a total of 3.89 million at the end of the year. Principal payments required in each of the next 5 years are outlined in the table at the bottom of page 12. Note 9, accrued sick leave. I won't take you through that note. Very similar to the prior year. Note 10, wording on your retiring allowance. Note 11 is wording on your pension plan. The last paragraph in note 11 on page 13 says contribution to the plan in 2020 totaled 591,000. Note 12 is disclosures regarding your financial instruments and your risk management in accordance with those risks. Okay, very similar wording to the prior year. Note 13, commitments, the top of page 15. This is your annual lease payment commitments for the next 5 years. Note 14 is wording on your short-term borrowings compliance. Note 15, funds held in trust, and note 16 on your budget. I'm going to go on to Schedule 1, which is your schedule of tangible capital assets. It's quite small. So this is your schedule of tangible capital assets. The first part of this table is your cost of your tangible capital assets, adding with some additions and disposals. And then you have your accumulated amortization over the years, leaving you with your net book value of your tangible capital assets at the end of the year. And it's broken down by land improvements, buildings, machinery and equipment, vehicles, electronic equipment, and furniture and fixtures. So here's your net book value. And they totaled 12.94 million. And the table at the bottom just breaks it out by local planning assets, landfill assets, recycle assets, and power generation assets. Schedule 1, the next page is the same information, only for 2019, for the prior year. We go on to Schedule 2, reconciliation of annual surplus. So this schedule starts with your annual surplus in accordance with PSAB accounting, and it makes the adjustments to get the surplus down to the province of New Brunswick requirements. And the surplus at the bottom of this page is the surplus that you would be used to seeing in your reports, I believe, that you get at your meetings. So, and again, it's broken down by by the different funds here. I won't take you through that in detail. Okay. Go on to the next page. This is this schedule continues on the next page, showing the breakdown for additional funds. So overall, you had the annual surplus of 2.1 million. Okay. Yeah, sorry, that's the total for the adjustments. Okay, so we'll go on to the next page, which is page 20 and page 21. These are the schedules of reconciliation of annual surplus for 2019. So we'll go on to Schedule 3 on page 22. This is a schedule of your segment disclosure. This is your revenue and expenditures resulting in your annual surplus, broken down by cooperative and regional planning, local planning, landfill, SWD recycling, and power generation. So overall, you had an annual surplus of 472,000 based on PSAB accounting. This is your schedule segment disclosure for 2019. And then we go on to your schedule of statement of reserves for 2020. So statement of reserves shows your assets, your accumulated surplus, your revenue, and your expenditures, broken down by your different reserve accounts. So total accumulated surplus was 2.67 million, and total annual surplus was 167,000. Here's the same schedule for 2019. Here's your schedule of operating budget to PSA budget. Here's your budget numbers that you would have been working with, revenue, expenditures, and the budgeted surplus and deficits. Okay, this is your amortization. There's a column here for your amortization, sick leave, transfers. Okay. Again, if I'm going too fast through any of this, please feel free to slow me down or ask any questions. This is the same schedule for 2019. And we're coming on to detailed breakdown of your schedule of revenue and expenditures. So this is a detailed breakdown of your revenue and your expenditures of the numbers that we would have already gone through in summary format on page 4 in your statement of operation. So providing a little more detail on your revenue. For sale of services, you had industrial, commercial, and institutional tipping fees of 4.26 million. So that was down some from the prior year. Construction and demolition, 250,000. Recycling materials, 444,000. Power generation, 742,000, and other 64,000. For a total of 5.7 million. Member charges, I'll just touch on some of the larger numbers. Local planning and inspection service fees, 1.4 million, so that was up. And tipping fees was up to 3.24 million. For total member charges of 4.74 million. For other, you had a gain on disposal of capital assets. You had regional sport, recreation, and culture, 99,000. I believe that was a study, and there's a corresponding expense down below for the 99,000. And then other solid waste revenue of 289,000. For total revenue, other revenue of 557,000. Expenditures, administration, executive director's office, 250,000. For financial management, external audit, 22,000. Personnel, 146,000. And subcontract personnel, 7,500 for a total of 176,000. Other, you had liability insurance, public relations, office expense, and translation for a total of 84,000. Administration, local planning office, 269,000. Office expense, 165,000. Again, I'm just touching on the larger numbers for a total of 447,000. Administration, solid waste office, 651,000. Liability insurance, 205,000. Professional services, 179,000. Public relations, 148,000, and office expense, 158,000 for a total of 1.42 million. Then you had administration for the generation facility. Then we go into your governance expenditures. You had honorariums, travel, meetings for a total of 51,000. Planning and building inspection services. So for planning services, you had personnel of 415,000. And then that for planning services, it totaled 434,000. Inspection services, personnel, 311,000, total 315,000. So we go on to solid waste services, station and building, 269,000, machinery and equipment, 558,000, landfill, 2.3 million, scale house, waste diversion, 1,041,000, and amortization, 1.3 million for a total of 6,080,000. Generation facility, you had personnel, machinery and equipment, and amortization. So that is our presentation on the financial statements. I would like to make a few just high-level comments in regards to the audit. It should be noted that you did outperform your budget once again this year. So it's a very good sign that you are outperforming your budget, especially in a year where COVID's going on. There's a lot. We had this discussion with the audit committee. There is a lot to consider in a COVID year. There's a lot of planning that goes around to just maneuver your operations to make sure you're not losing in certain areas and changing things as you go and on the fly, and that can cause some strain on your business. It can cause some strain on your financial controls during the year when you're trying to operate with people being out of the office for a certain amount of time, trying to do payroll, trying to do a number of things, and of course during our audit we did step up our audit procedures in certain areas just to cover off those risks, and we're pleased to note that we didn't find anything of concern on our end. It was a very clean audit this year. Again, not too many significant adjustments. And I think that goes to show the quality of your financial processes that you have in place. There's nothing else that we had at this time. Is there any questions for me?
Does anyone have any questions? I don't see anyone's hand up. So that's the end of your presentation, correct?
Yes, yeah, we did have a couple of letters to the audit committee but again, we've gone through, we are required to go through those charged with governance, and we did go through our letters with the audit committee. There was nothing that came about during our audit that would cause a concern that we would need to bring to the audit committee's attention or to the board's attention. There was no significant difficulties, no significant financial statement disclosures. We looked at your operations and whether or not there should be additional disclosures in regards to COVID. But again, everything seems to be operating as expected.
Thank you.
Okay.
Does anyone have any questions? I don't see anyone's hand up. So Dale, would you like to read the next motion, please?
Yes, I'll do that. The next motion that I have is I move that the board receive and approve the December 31st, 2020 draft financial statements of the Regional Service Commission 11.
Second, Mike Lee.
Any discussion? I'd just like to say that I'm very pleased with our staff and very knowledgeable, and when they're working with their auditors, they're right on top of everything. So a job well done, staff, and through our auditors. So no more
Can I
discussion.
make a comment on that?
Absolutely.
I've been on the audit team for some time, and I am very pleased with what I see on the audit, on our auditors as well. Very detailed. I think they do an excellent job, and our staff is doing a super job. I'm familiar with this sort of thing, and I think the commission is doing very good.
Thank you. Comment well taken. No more discussion. Ready for the question?
Question.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Dale, and thank you to our guests, Darren and Ross. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So now we'll move on to the Governance Committee report. Director Barnett, please.
Okay,
Thank you.
folks, we'll sign off. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Or you can stay if you like.
I would like to, but unfortunately, I'm going to leave. Thank
Fully
you.
understand.
Take care.
Thank you. You too.
So as reported to the board in February, the committee has completed its review of the procedural and prac bylaws and recommends the changes outlined in the attached summary. Also attached is a draft complete copy of the new procedural bylaw P-8. There were no recommended changes to the planning review and adjustment committee bylaw prac 5. These changes have unanimously been supported by the committee, which includes myself, Judy Wilson-Shee, Don Fitzgerald, Robert Powell, Mike Blaney, Carson Atkinson, and Ian Kitchen. I move that the board receive the report of the governance committee dated April 6, 2021.
Seconded, Atkinson.
Any discussion? Ready for the question?
Question.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Your next motion, please.
I move that the Board of Regional Service Commission 11 adopt the procedural bylaw P-8 and the procedural bylaw P-7 dated May 8, 2020 be repealed.
Second it, Bob Powell.
Any discussion? Ready for the question?
Questions.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Erica. We'll move on now to the Finance Committee report. Director Morrison, please.
Oops. There we are. I thought I lost you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Okay, good. The Finance Committee met on March 25th, 2021. In attendance were myself, Mike Blaney, Don Fitzgerald, Mike Chamberlain, David Duplessis, Mary Kay Langdon, Susan Cassidy, John Bigger, and Brett McRae. Meeting was called to order at 5:02 p.m. The committee received 2 staff reports, equipment purchase recommendations, and leachate collection tender, which are attached to this report. After discussion with staff, the committee agreed to recommend the reports to the board for approval, which can be accomplished by passing the motions 2 through 4 described below. Should that read 1, 2, 4? Anyway, there being no further business, the meeting was adjourned at 5:26 p.m. The first motion is I move that the board receive the report of the Finance Committee dated April 6, 2021.
Second
Second.
by,
Second it, Dale.
any discussion? Ready for the question?
Question.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Your next motion, please.
That one new 2021 John Deere 1510G, as described in the bid documents, be purchased from Brand Tractor for $449,200 plus tax.
Second, Mike Blaney.
Any discussion? Ready for the question?
Question.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Your next motion, please.
That the executive director and or chair be authorized to issue and sell to the New Brunswick Municipal Finance Corporation a Regional Service Commission 11 debenture in the principal amount of $440,000 on such terms and conditions as are recommended by the New Brunswick Municipal Finance Corporation. And be it resolved that the Regional Service Commission 11 agree to issue post-dated checks payable to the New Brunswick Municipal Finance Corporation as and when they are requested.
Second, Mike Chamberlain.
Any discussion? Ready for the question?
Question.
Question.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Your next and last motion, please.
That tender 03-21- leachate collection -22-03-21 be awarded to Filson Limited for the construction of a leachate extraction system as described in the tender for $561,240 plus tax.
Second, Mike Chamberlain.
Any discussion? Ready for the question?
Question.
Question.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Peter. Move on now to number 7, the staff reports. Number A, the auditor appointment. Don, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Directors will have my report, which recommends that the board reappoint McMillan, Lawrence, and Lawrence for our 2021 fiscal year as our auditors. Our experience with them has been excellent. The pricing that we receive is also excellent. They know our operation, and so their time from start to finish is it meets our deadlines, and they have a high regard for getting in, doing their work, but not disrupting our day-to-day activities. And so I'm pleased to recommend them, and the appointment could be affected by passing the motion that's detailed at the bottom of the report, and that's staff's recommendation.
Thank you. Dale, would you like to read that motion for us, please?
Just one moment here. I have it. Okay, the recommendation. In the case of option one, the committee and the board can take comfort in the fact that the staff, having consistently heard from officials inside the financial group of environment and local government. Whoa, am I on the right one?
You can go right to the motion.
No, sorry, I was reading it wrong. I can't blame that on glasses. All right, be it resolved that the board appoint the firm of Macmillan, Lawrence and Lawrence as auditors for Regional Service Commission 11 for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 21.
I second that motion. Peter Morrison.
Any discussion? Ready for the question?
Question.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Dale. The next is number B, the staff report, the annual report. Dawn, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Regional Service Delivery Act places a requirement on us to produce an annual report. It's part of our obligation to be transparent and inform our constituents of the goings on of the previous year. It has two parts to it. A report that is more of a narrative form that details certain specific types of information, and then the audited financial statements. Since the board has adopted the financial statements earlier this evening, if it were to adopt the draft annual report that is included with the staff report, what we would do from staff is we would put them together, we would have them translated and then post it on our website and distribute it to our communities, local government, and we would have copies for the public if they so requested. This year's annual report differs from the previous years in a number of ways. The first difference is perhaps the least important. This year it's been prepared in a landscape orientation rather than a portrait one. We don't want, and we do that just to make sure that we don't fall into a rut of just serving you up the same thing over and over. A lot of the report this year deals with what staff and the board had to, the accommodations we had to make to respond to COVID. We met all our statutory requirements in notwithstanding COVID. We had a strong development year where, and we were able to meet that challenge. We had a period of time where we had to close our recycling facility, and we were able to redeploy that staff. So in terms of being a responsive, robust organization, I think it tells a good story. If we talk about our dissatisfaction with the RCMP, and you know, tomorrow that's going to come to a head, but that's something that developed during the year, and the board was very conscientious in how they approached that. And I think it's a story that our constituents would be interested in. We talk about cyber insurance, and when we did that, you know, that was before what happened in St. John. So I think it's we don't say this in the report that, you know, we were out in front of St. John and what happened to them, but I think that you can be proud of the fact that you are attuned to the new risks that we face. We talk about a regional pool study. It's the first time that we did a project for multiple municipalities and unincorporated areas as a single event. So there are interesting things in it, and you know, other people won't read it with the same amount of vigor and enthusiasm as I might, but it's a story you can be proud of. And so we're happy to recommend to the directors that they adopt this version of an annual report.
Who would like to read the motion?
I can do it. I
Thank
move
you,
the
Erica.
board adopt the attached draft annual report as the commission's annual report, and that it be distributed as described in section 33 of the Regional Services Delivery Act.
I second it, Bob Powell.
Any discussion?
Yes, Mike
Don,
Chamberlain.
Yes,
I
Madam
was
Chair.
just wondering, after my comments, should it have my name?
I'm sorry.
After the chair's comments, should it not have my name?
Yes, and we will make sure that it does that.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
I had a question, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Concerning the cyberspace insurance, Don, did St. John have that insurance in place when this took place?
Actually, they did, and they are recovering money from that policy. They didn't use a policy decision was made not to pay the ransom. So the perpetrators didn't get any money in this case, but proceeds from that policy flowed to the city to help them rebuild their IT network and applications.
Are you happy with the way that turned out?
Well,
I don't know the details, but
the details that have been put in the press is that it was a huge amount of money that the ransomers were asking for, and the cost to reconstruct the network in St. John exceeds the amount of coverage that they have. They've taken the opportunity to put together a more robust network and one that does more things. So there's no question that they're going to end up in a better place than when they began, but I don't think they would tell you it was worth it.
right. Thank you.
They had that.
Eleanor, you have a comment to make?
Yeah, I should have said, Madam Chair. They had that in the news, and they're rebuilding for just over 2 million when the people that froze their computers were asking for over 17 million.
And Madam Chair, the ransom they were asking for was payable in Bitcoins, which is this
Right.
cryptocurrency. And since they asked for that 17 million, I believe the value of Bitcoins has risen to the point where it's effectively somewhere in the range of $50 million now. So it's, it's not a world any of us grew up in, that's for sure.
So Don, you're overall happy with the purchase of this insurance then?
Yes, I think the board should, they did the right thing. It would have been irresponsible, I think, for this board to go forward and hope that we weren't attacked.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Ready for the question?
Should-
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Erica. The staff report, the solid waste management, and that's for information purposes only. So move on to number 8, the chair's comments. Before I call for a motion to adjourn, I would like to make a few comments since this is our last meeting before the May municipal elections. It has been my pleasure to serve as your chair these past years. The respect you have shown each other and staff and the preparation you have done in advance of the committee and board meetings has made my role much easier than otherwise would have been the case. Some of you aren't running again, so this will be your last meeting of the committee. We have benefited greatly from your views and advice. Some of us are returning for re-election, and I want to offer you my personal best wishes for success. One thing that is for certain is that there will be a new board taking its place, and that this new board will have interesting and challenging work to do as the province moves through its local governance reform initiative. A sincere thank you to our ED, Don Fitzgerald, and staff for their professional interaction with the board at all times. Thank you. Could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second, Bob Powell.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.
Judy. Good
Thank
luck,
you.
everybody. Good luck.
Good night, thank you.
Luck.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
You guys.
Did you
Good night.
already leave, Erica? Yeah, I guess so.
No, I'm still here, Judy.
Oh, you're still there. Did you enjoy that walk? The two.
I did. It was
Yeah.
fun. Yeah,
Yes.
we had a
yes.
good time. I think we were out for a couple hours, but I'm
We were out
excited to
for
see our video.
over 3, and I think we walked 5.4 kilometers.
Okay.
Yeah,
How'd you make out, Carson?
Did the same, we only did the 3 kilometers and it was 4 hours.
Okay. Wow.
I thought we would never get through. I thought it was 2 hours and it was from 2:45 till 6:45.
Oh, wow.
Well, Fredericton was 7 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a long time. It
So
was
that's very interesting.
I'm excited to see the end results of the videos.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Have a good night.
Everyone
coming
take
over.
care and good luck in the election.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.